Elon Musk. One of the most famous men in the world with bold creations and a visionary mindset. Never imagined that his life would change forever after a chance encounter. At a small hospital, he met a little girl suffering from a terminal illness. A small person with big dreams, the dream of a journey to Mars. Her story not only made Elon Musk's heart ache, but it also brought tears to the eyes of the world. From a simple yet meaningful gift to a promise to take her dream to the stars. This meeting turned into a journey of hope, belief, and dreams that would never fade. Right now, let's follow this touching story and witness the journey Elon Musk took to keep his promise to the little girl and her dream. Sophia entered the room, her face showing seriousness. She stopped at Elon's desk, her eyes determined as if wanting him to pay attention. Elon, I have something for you, she said, her voice calm yet resolute. Elon looked up from his computer screen, furrowing his brow. Not very interested. If it's not about the Mars mission, then let's talk about it later. Definitely not about Mars, Sophia replied, her voice carrying a slight smile. But it's about a little girl who believed you were her hero. Her words immediately made Elon pause, just enough to lift him from his daily busyness. He raised his head, his eyes full of curiosity. Sophia carefully placed the tablet on the desk and pressed the play button. The screen lit up, and a little girl appeared, lying on a white hospital bed. She had pale skin, almost no hair left, but her eyes shone brightly, full of strength. Her voice in the video echoed, gentle yet determined. Hello, Uncle Elon. My name is Mia. I'm 9 years old. My dream is to one day go to Mars. But the doctor said I don't have much time left. But if you can hear this, I just want to meet you once, so I can hug you. I just want to do that once in my life. The video ended, leaving the room heavy with silence. Elon sat motionless, his gaze still fixed on the screen, where Mia's smiling face seemed to be etched deeply in his mind. Is this real? He whispered, his voice so soft it was almost inaudible. Sophia nodded, her eyes filled with sadness. The little girl's mother sent the video through a charity organization. Mia has terminal cancer, and her time is running out. Silence enveloped both of them, as if time had stopped. Elon sat still for a few seconds, his hands clenched tightly. Finally, he looked at Sophia, his voice lowered. What can we do to help her as soon as possible? That question didn't just change Mia's fate, it also made Elon realize that a big change was coming. The ride to the private airport was immersed in silence. But in his mind, thoughts were swirling like a storm. He looked out the window, but the scenery seemed irrelevant now. Every image of Mia, every word she spoke kept repeating in his mind. Her voice, full of hope but also sadness, seemed to invade his soul. Although he had been called a hero before, this time, that feeling was no longer simple. An invisible responsibility had risen, one that could not be ignored. When the car stopped, Sophia gently said, Elon, you don't have to do this. Mia already sees you as her hero. She will always carry this belief, whether you are by her side or not. Elon didn't respond immediately. He stepped out of the car, feeling the cold wind cutting through his skin. Standing at the foot of the stairs leading to the plane, he turned to look at Sophia, his eyes resolute, no longer hesitant. Mia deserves more than just an image of me. She deserves something real, something that can change her life. Inside the plane's cabin, the gentle hum of the engines created a steady background. But for Elon, it felt like the rhythm of his unease. He wasn't the kind of person who liked to sit still, especially when his mind was swirling with questions without answers. For him, this space only heightened his sense of loneliness, as if it was a separation from the world around him. Am I capable of this? Elon sighed softly, his voice resonating in the cabin, like an internal struggle he couldn't share with anyone. You won't disappoint her. Sophia, sitting across from him, absent-mindedly fiddled with the tablet. But her gaze was always fixated on him. Her voice was gentle, a reassurance that didn't need strength, just presence. Mia just wants to meet you. There's no pressure. Elon glanced at her for a moment, the feeling of anxiety rising in his chest. I never thought it would come to this, he exhaled, unable to hide the tension. He stood up and paced around the cabin, each step like a heavy weight of worry. For Mia, I'm not just Elon Musk. I'm the one who can change her future. What if I can't make her happy? Sophia closed the tablet, her gaze now more serious and sincere than ever before. Mia's expectations might be different from what you think. She doesn't need grand things. She doesn't need Mars. She just needs you to be there. It's that simple. Elon stopped in his tracks, her words hitting his heart like a powerful blow. He had spent his life conquering peaks, building grand visions. But now, he realized that sometimes the greatest strength wasn't what he could accomplish, but simply being here. Just like this. He turned to the window, looking out at the night sky, where the stars seemed to reflect his own image. A change in his mind was slowly forming. You know, Sophia suddenly spoke, breaking the silence. I think what matters is not what you can do, but that you're there and that you are yourself. That's the most precious thing you can do for Mia. Elon nodded softly, but the anxiety in his heart hadn't faded. The plane began to prepare for landing, the city lights below slowly fading into the morning mist. The hospital was near, but everything seemed different from what he had mentally prepared for. When the plane's wheels touched the ground, Elon realized he was standing before a journey he couldn't fully imagine. The hospital gradually appeared, a cold light from the fluorescent bulbs reflecting in the misty haze. Sophia followed closely behind Elon, her face still a mix of worry and determination. A nurse led them through the quiet halls, where only the sound of soft footsteps echoed. They headed toward the pediatric intensive care unit. The door to Mia's room made Elon stop. The pictures on the door made him pause. Rockets, planets, and a playful sketch of SpaceX, all products of an innocent yet passionate soul. On the door was a small plaque that read, Mia's Space Journey. Elon stood there, his hand tightly gripping the doorknob, feeling a wave of confusion. Sophia gently placed her hand on his shoulder, her gaze soft. She's been waiting for a long time. Elon took a deep breath and slowly opened the door. The room was filled with light and color. Every wall was adorned with posters of the universe, space exploration sketches, and Mars robots. By the window was a telescope, its view directed toward the starry night sky. On the desk, a notebook titled Mission Journal lay open, its pages filled with creative drawings and notes from a dreaming child. Elon couldn't help but feel moved. The room wasn't just a place that held Mia's dreams, it was a space that contained his own aspirations. He walked in, feeling the vibrant air, as if every picture, every word on the paper, carried a piece of Mia's soul. He knew that, whether he succeeded or not, his presence here might be the most important thing. In the warm light of the pediatric ward, Mia was sitting on her bed, her small, fragile body wrapped in a thin blanket. Her hair was neatly tied in her favorite pink scarf, and her face lit up when she saw someone. It must be Mr. Musk, right? Her voice was clear, weak, but her eyes were full of hope. Elon smiled and walked closer to the bed, his gaze gentle as he looked at the girl. You must be Mia, the space enthusiast. He bent down, his smile adding strength to the atmosphere. Mia looked at him and giggled softly. Though weak, it was still a bright sound. That's right. I'm ready to fly into space. Look. She raised her hand, striking a pose as if floating in space. Mia's gentle laughter echoed in the quiet room. Do you think I can be a good astronaut? Elon chuckled lightly, gazing at her with affection. For an astronaut, the most important thing is never giving up. And you already have the strength to do that. Mia didn't hesitate, her eyes shining with determination and belief in the future. Can we make a promise? Elon looked into her eyes, hesitating for a moment. Then he extended his pinky finger toward Mia. Promise. Okay, he responded, his hand and hers silently linking in a small but meaningful promise. They sat together, sharing a passion for space adventures, for mysterious space flights. Mia pulled out her small notebook and opened it for Elon to see. Inside were colorful drawings, with an image of her proudly standing next to a huge SpaceX rocket, ready to conquer the sky. Elon looked at the drawings, his finger brushing over each simple but hopeful line. You're not just thinking about space. You've already drawn out your future. His voice caught, almost emotional. You're going to be a great leader on this journey. Mia smiled brightly, her cheeks flushed like freshly bloomed flowers. Do you really think I can go to Mars? One day? Elon looked deep into Mia's eyes, his gaze filled with trust. I don't just think so. I believe you will get there. And you might even be the first to step foot on it. Their conversation continued, filled with joy and excitement about the unknown discoveries ahead. But not long after, a figure appeared in the doorway, Mia's mother. She stepped in, her face showing signs of fatigue, but her eyes were full of gratitude. Thank you so much for coming, Emma said, her voice gentle, tinged with a bit of emotion. She's been so happy to meet you. Elon stood up and walked towards her, his eyes full of compassion. Mia is a wonderful girl. I'm so fortunate to have had the chance to meet her. Emma smiled faintly, but tears quietly slid down her cheeks. She's written something for you, she said, handing him a tiny envelope. Mia wants you to keep it. Elon took the envelope, feeling a sacredness in the moment. As he carefully tucked the letter into his pocket, he realized that this moment would never fade from his heart. And though he couldn't foresee it, he understood that this meeting would change him in ways he couldn't imagine. Elon stood by the window in his hotel room, the city lights stretching out like a hazy ribbon, shimmering through the buildings. The envelope in his hand remained unopened, and a vague unease filled his heart. He had received many letters throughout his career, each one filled with encouragement, with words of gratitude from fans. But this letter was different. He sensed there was something special hidden within the words. As he pulled the envelope out, his fingers trembled slightly. He unfolded the letter, and his gaze immediately stopped on the carefully written words. Slow and deliberate, as if each word carried profound meaning. Dear Mr. Musk, what you do is not just a dream. You have ignited in me a new belief. You are an endless source of inspiration. Though I cannot go with you to Mars, I hope you will take a part of me with you. As a mark. No matter where you are, I will always be a part of that journey. I wish you success. Mia. Elon sat quietly, his hand gripping the letter, his heart seemingly stopping. Of all the letters he had ever received, none had made him feel as heart-wrenching as this one. He couldn't explain the feeling, but it was like an invitation to embark on a new journey, a responsibility he couldn't refuse. The next day, he returned to the hospital, a heavy weight on his heart. When he entered Mia's room, he noticed a distinct change. The energy of the girl from yesterday had now faded. Still, when Mia saw him, she tried to smile. That smile, though weak, still radiated an indescribable warmth. I have a gift for you, Mia whispered, her eyes lighting up weakly. She pulled out a small notebook and held it out in front of Elon. This is my journal. Every astronaut needs one. Elon looked at the journal and smiled gently, his heart feeling warm. Thank you, Mia. But to be honest, it might take me a while to learn everything you've written in here. Mia looked at him, her eyes shining with hope. Because you're a great astronaut, right? Elon nodded gently. My job is not easy, but I will certainly do everything to make my dream come true. And yours too. Mia was silent for a moment, then opened her mouth to ask, her voice full of curiosity. Do you really want to go to Mars? Because Mars, it's so far away, isn't it? The question made Elon pause for a moment. He looked into the clear eyes of the little girl and answered, his voice becoming more serious. Mars is not the final destination. It's a place where humanity can be reborn. A place where we can start over. Move past what has happened to Earth. Mia nodded as if she understood something deeper. So that's the reason, isn't it? To do the impossible. Exactly, Elon said, his eyes lighting up. That's why we have to dream big. Dreams that help us push past our limits. Mia was silent for a long time, her small hands gripping the blanket tightly. Mr. Musk? I want to ask one more thing. Elon looked at the little girl, smiling. Go ahead, Mia. Mia took a deep breath. Then with the calmest voice, she asked, when you fly to Mars, could you take me with you? The question hit like a shock, and the air in the room seemed to slow down. Elon felt everything focusing on that question. He sighed deeply, then slowly responded, his gaze steady and full of determination. Mia, I promise you, when I reach Mars, you will always be with me. No matter what. You will be a part of that journey. Mia looked at him, her eyes shining brightly, that small light spreading like a flame. Really? Really, Elon affirmed, taking her hand in his. You will always have a place in this journey. Mia, you will never be left behind. As Mia closed her eyes and drifted to sleep, Elon sat there quietly. He realized that this promise was not just simple words. It was a commitment. A mission he had to fulfill for the rest of his life. That morning, the hospital was strangely quiet. A stillness in the air as if life here was stretching out second by second. Elon walked into the children's care ward, and the change in the atmosphere immediately hit him. The noise from medical equipment had softened, and the footsteps of the nurses seemed lighter, not daring to break the silence. When he reached the door of Mia's room, her mother, Emma, stood there to greet him. The soft light from the hallway illuminated the streaks on her face, the traces of sleepless nights. The little one still keeps talking about you, Emma said, her voice choked but still firm. I know. She's waiting for you. Inside the room, Mia lay there, the pillow behind her propped up. But the light from the window made her skin even paler. Yet, her eyes still held hope, and her smile was like a small light in the darkness. Musk! Hello? Mia whispered, her voice like a hurried breath. Elon sat down beside her, taking her hand in his. Her soft skin made him feel an incredible fragility. Hello? Mia. The brave leader, he said, trying to smile, though his heart felt tight. How's your flight going? Mia looked up, smiling proudly, her voice as light as the breeze. I almost finished everything, she answered, though her breath was weak. But her gaze remained strong. But before I go, I want you to have something. A gift. Emma handed Mia a piece of paper folded into the shape of a star. Mia handed it to Elon, her hands trembling. This is for you, Mia said, her eyes shining. So you can take it with you. On the journey to Mars. Elon took the star in his hands, his heart filled with emotion. It was not a perfect gift. The folds of the paper were uneven. But to him, it held immense value. Thank you, Mia, Elon said. His voice choked. I will take this star to the farthest place I've ever thought of. Mia smiled, her eyes shining like stars. You promise you will do that, right? I promise, Elon affirmed, his voice firm. This star will go to the ends of the universe. A long moment passed, and neither of them said anything more. Only the sound of the machines around them like sad heartbeats. Suddenly, Mia looked up at Elon, her expression more serious than ever. Mr. Musk, she said softly, I don't have much longer. A shock ran through Elon. He leaned down, his voice becoming deeper. You will always be here. Mia, he said, his eyes filled with sorrow. Every time I look up at the sky, I will see you in the light of the stars. Mia smiled weakly, but warmly. Do you think everyone will remember me? Definitely, Elon replied, his voice resolute. You will be a part of a great history, and future generations will remember you and know that you were a part of this miracle. Mia closed her eyes, her breathing becoming heavier. But in her sleep, she still smiled. As she drifted into a deep sleep, Elon stayed there, still holding her hand. When Emma returned, her face full of tears, Elon stood up and gently placed the star into his pocket. The gift was not just an object, it was a promise. A flame of love and hope that he would carry with him throughout the journey. As dawn broke, in the quiet of the room, Elon remained seated, his gaze distant, looking through the window. The first rays of sunlight gently came through, but he paid them no attention. The weariness from the night before had not left him. The paper star Mia had given him lay quietly on the table, next to the unopened letter. The ringing of his phone broke the silence, and Sophia's voice came through gently. But each word she spoke was like lightning shattering the glass. Mia has passed away. Her words were sudden, like a cold wind passing through him, making everything around him seem dim. Elon didn't respond immediately, still holding the posture of looking out the window, feeling as though everything had become invisible to him. Throughout his career, he had faced countless challenges, but this time, he stood before something unchangeable, a void too large to fill, and he didn't know how to fill it. He took a deep breath, then quietly placed the star into his pocket. Thank you, he said in a soft breath. By the evening, he returned to the hospital. Emma was still sitting in her usual chair, her eyes filled with immense sorrow. The image of her had never made Elon feel more pity than at this moment. She always talked about you. Emma's voice was gentle but full of strength. She said you were the only one who made her believe that her dream could come true. Elon didn't respond immediately. He just pulled the star from his pocket and handed it to her. She gave me this, he said, his voice a little softer. I promised her I would make everything she ever dreamed of come true. Emma nodded, tears falling from her eyes without restraint. Mia always believed in you, Elon, she said, her gaze still fixed on the paper star, as if she were looking at a piece of the beautiful memory the little girl had left behind. She believed that you could do miracles. Elon didn't say anything more, just gently placed his hand on her shoulder, a rare gesture of warmth from him. Mia will always be with me, he said, his voice bittersweet but full of determination. After that meeting, Elon returned to the SpaceX headquarters, each step carrying a burden he could not hide. In the engineering room, where the engineers were busy preparing for an important project, Elon walked straight to his desk, pulled the star from his pocket, and placed it on the table. We will take this to Mars, Elon said, his eyes lighting up with a strong sense of purpose. It will become a part of this mission, and we will make it a reality. The engineers didn't ask any more questions, they simply nodded silently. No one doubted Elon's decision. Everything was clear. The paper star was carefully sealed and prepared to be part of the great journey SpaceX would undertake. In the days that followed, Elon seemed to forget everything around him, focusing only on his work. Every number, every plan was intertwined with Mia's spirit and dream. Every decision he made was not only for the company, but also for the little girl who had inspired him to keep going. Then, at a press conference, a curious reporter asked about the personal items that would be taken on the flight to Mars. Elon stood there for a long moment, his gaze pausing, as if he were lost in the memories that had just resurfaced in his mind. "There was a little girl named Mia. She gave me this," Elon began, his voice calm and certain. "She dreamed of going to Mars, but she couldn't make that dream come true. So, I will bring her with us. She will be an inseparable part of this mission." The room fell unusually silent. All eyes were on Elon, not because of his words, but because of the emotion that soaked each sentence. When he stood beneath the massive rocket on launch day, the paper star was still protected in the compartment. Elon knew that Mia would forever live in this journey, and she would never be forgotten. The day of the rocket launch to Mars approached. The sky above seemed clearer than ever, as if the universe was welcoming a great event. The atmosphere at the SpaceX Center was tense but filled with excitement. The engineers worked briskly, every movement precise. As the enormous rocket stood silently in the morning light, all eyes were on it. On the screens from major TV stations, Elon stood in the control room, his eyes never leaving the rocket, his mind as if it were reaching beyond the grasp of Earth. In the payload compartment, Mia's tiny paper star lay still, a symbol of dreams and hope. "We have only a few minutes left," Sophia said, her voice gentle but heavy. She stood next to Elon, feeling the tension in the air. She knew that today's mission was not just a flight, but a significant step for humanity. Elon only nodded slightly, his mind still drifting to memories of Mia, the little girl, with her bright eyes and a heart full of dreams. "Always believed that we could conquer the stars." Her words had engraved themselves in his heart. "Big dreams must start with small things." The launch director's voice echoed in the room. "Check complete. All systems stable." Elon stood up, adjusted the mic and addressed the team. "We're not just launching a rocket today," he began, his voice low but strong. "Today, we're sending a part of a dream into space. A part of the dream of those who believed in themselves and never gave up. Mia, today we fly for you." Everyone in the room was silent, emotion weaving through every gaze. Sophia placed her hand on Elon's shoulder, saying nothing, but her support seeped into every cell of his body. "Just 5 more minutes," the announcement echoed once again. Outside, the rocket stood tall, like a monumental symbol of ambition. Elon stood there, his eyes fixed on it, each passing second sinking in silently. He muttered, not quite clearly, but in his heart. He whispered to Mia, "You've made it, Mia." With a loud roar, the rocket's engines ignited, shaking the very air. The control room erupted in cheers of joy. But Elon stood still, his eyes never leaving the rocket until it was nothing more than a faint, glowing speck in the sky. Months later, the Mars rover sent back images from the red planet. One of the most moving pictures was of a small memorial made from simple objects. Inside the glass casing was Mia's paper star, accompanied by a small plaque that read, "Mia, the one who dreamed and took that dream to Mars." The picture quickly went viral, spreading to millions of children around the world. They began drawing their own stars and sending them to SpaceX, along with letters filled with dreams of the cosmos. Stories about Mia were told in schools, becoming a symbol of resilience, hope, and the endless reach of imagination. Years later, Elon returned to Mars once again, standing beneath the harsh Martian sky. The red ground stretched out before him, the place where his dream and the dreams of countless others had come true. But his eyes didn't leave the paper star in the glass casing. Though time had dulled its colors, the star remained intact. "Mia! You did it!" Elon whispered into the thin air of Mars, his voice echoing in the silent space. "We did it! For you and for everyone who believed in this dream." And on Earth, the story of Mia was still told. A reminder that no dream is too small to change the world. Somewhere in the vast universe, Mia's star continued to shine, bright and eternal. The sun on Mars had never set. And even in that distant place, a small star continued to shine brightly in the hearts of those who believed in the dream. Elon stood beneath the Martian sky, gazing at the distant stars. And in a quiet moment, he felt something profound. Every step of humanity, no matter how small, contributes to making history. Mia was not just a child dreaming of the stars. She had become a symbol for all those who never stopped chasing their dreams, no matter the obstacles. The story of Mia spread everywhere, becoming a spark of inspiration. Children around the world, from small villages to bustling cities, knew her name. They drew their own stars and sent them to SpaceX, not just to speak of a dream to conquer space, but to share their own dreams. Mia's story was not just a lesson about grand ambition, but also a reminder of the power of small actions that can change the entire universe. Elon still remembered Mia's words in the final days before she left this world. She once said, "Everything starts from a star, and a star can shine forever, no matter where it is." Elon gazed at the paper star in the glass casing, feeling Mia's words live on in him, in the dreams of future generations. The day the rocket launched was not just SpaceX's day, not just Elon Musk's day, but a day for all those who believe that a star, no matter how small, can light up a part of this vast universe. And in that moment, on Mars, a small star continued to shine, Mia's star, the star of dreams that never fade. So, when you look up at the night sky, remember that every star carries a story, a dream, and who knows, you might be the next one to turn your dream into reality. Because in this vast universe, nothing is impossible, and even the smallest dream can change everything. Thank you for following this inspiring story. To not miss out on more exciting and meaningful videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to get updates on the best stories from us. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family to spread these meaningful messages. Join our community today to always accompany us on these inspiring journeys. Note: this is a fictional story, created for entertainment purposes and to convey meaningful messages. The content in this video is entirely fictional, and we are not responsible for any events or individuals mentioned. We hope you enjoy this story and find deep human values in each moment of it.